my name is Nikki, aka the Dragon Queen, and here I am with my Top 5 Wednesday for the 18th. Today's is the top 5 polarizing books that you've read. Now, for this one, I was a little confused at what they meant, and I had a hard time finding 5 books to fit the category, but I ended up just doing a search on Goodreads for what they suggested were polarizing books and found the ones that I've read where I wasn't aware that they were polarizing, if that makes sense. So the first book was The Da Vinci Code by Dan Brown. I actually really enjoyed this book. It was very interesting. It played on my interest of, of mystery and of puzzles and all of that stuff, so I did enjoy that aspect of it. I didn't realize that people didn't like it until after I read it. Like, I didn't read Angels and Demons, but I read the Da Vinci Code. And I really enjoyed it, actually, and a lot of people were like, oh, I hated the Da Vinci Code, it was horrible, and I'm like, why? I'm so confused. I thought it was really well done. The second book, and I didn't know this was actually a polarizing book, but that was The Book Thief by Marcus Zusak. I really enjoy this book, as I've mentioned multiple times before, and I guess I can see why it's polarizing, because I loved it, but some people don't like the death perspective. Like, I tried to get my grandma to read this, and she couldn't get past the first part because of death's perspective. It was confusing, and that was fine, it made sense. But everyone I talked to otherwise has loved this book, and I haven't met anybody else who hasn't liked it. So, but I can kind of see it. The third one I found was Ender's Game by Orson Scott Card. Now, I thoroughly enjoyed Ender's Game. I did not enjoy as much Speaker of the Dead, and I DNF'd the third book. I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head. Now, Ender's Game I liked because it was very whimsical, in the sense the children didn't know what they were doing, and I liked the aspect that you've been training this entire time and you don't know why, and then all of a sudden you're down to the wire and you realize what the truth is. Now, once it got to Speaker of the Dead, or For the Dead, it became too political for me. It was all about politics, and all about, Xenocide, that was the third one. It became all about politics. And there was no more of that whimsical feel, that whimsical fun part, and the video game aspect was completely gone because he knew the truth, and I didn't like it anymore. I didn't feel like it was interesting for me. My husband loves the series, so I gave it a shot, but once I hit book 3, I'm just like, no. Like, with book 1, I was prepared to read all 16 books in the series. By book 3, I'm just like, I can't continue this. This is really dull now. But I don't like political books, and I don't like heavy war books. So I guess it's expected that it wasn't my cup of tea. So I can see either side. The fourth book is going to be Aragon by Christopher Paolini. I just read this book, even though it's been out for a while. I read it last year. I did enjoy the book I enjoyed the book. I think I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. I didn't enjoy it as much as I had hoped I would, mostly because of the old man in the book. He was very, I don't know how to put it, but he was very annoying in the sense that he kept doing things that would basically purposely antagonize Aragon, and it's like, you know he's going to go against you, and you know he's going to say something, so why do you keep saying things to tick him off or push him or make it so that he's gonna go against your wishes and do it anyway? There was just so many aspects where if he just kept his mouth shut, things wouldn't have happened. I mean, the story wouldn't have gone the way it went if he kept his mouth shut. But if he did, then there would be so much less fighting and bickering between the two, and tell me no, tell me no, tell me no, tell me, I'll do it anyway. So I get that part. I did enjoy the story, though, enough that I bought the second book as soon as I finished reading the first book, but I have yet to read it. The fifth book and final book on this list for me is Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn. Now, I almost DNF'd this book. When I read it, I was hating the first half of the book. I usually can't force myself to read, but because it was a mystery, I kept going because I'm like, seriously? Where's the mystery? Where's the thrill? Where's the anticipation? So I'm reading the book, and I didn't like any of the characters. I didn't like the male character. I can't remember their names right now. I didn't like the female character. The female character felt fake, and I'm just like reading the parts at the beginning from her diary, and I'm like, there is no way in hell that any woman in their right mind would be like this. No way. So I was getting annoyed, and then the male character, he was just lazy and didn't seem to care, and he was painted in a light of stupidity and like being a horrible husband, which was the point, but I didn't like him either. And then once once it got to the point where you found out what was going on, I was like, well, now I like him even less. Now, once it got to about halfway through the book, when you learn the truth, that's when I got hooked. That's when I suddenly loved the book, because now the truth is coming out. The mystery has been discovered, so to speak, at least by the main character, and I started to realize that things weren't as they were painted, and I started to realize that it was like all a lie, and then I started to like it. So she did a very good job of portraying the characters as both being disliked, but I almost DNF'd it because of that reason. And I think it might be polarizing because people DNF it. They don't finish it, so they don't continue to get to the point where it's like, holy shit, what is going on? But those are the 5 books that I liked that are polarizing, and other people don't like or do like or whatever. Or I don't like and they do like. But what is your favorite book that most people don't like? A 6th book I'll add just because. A book I don't like that many people do like is the Mortal Instruments series. Now, I read City of Bones, and I hated it. Like, I finished the entire thing. I forced myself to finish it, and I could not stand it. I didn't like the writing style. I wasn't fond of the plot. I didn't like the characters. I forced myself to finish it because it was over 500 pages, and it was part of my Pop Sugar challenge last year. And I just kept getting annoyed with the characters or the writing. Like, there were parts where it's like, she backed up against the wall until she could go no further. Well, that's how walls work. How can you go further if there's a wall? I mean, unless you're a ghost, or you could you can go through walls like the X-Men, the one X-Men character I can't recall the name of. So I just got really annoyed. I didn't really like the Shadowhunters. I didn't understand what all the fuss was about. So that kind of has led me to be more cautious of books that are so popular on BookTube, mainly because I might not like them. Another one would be Twilight, which has a huge fandom, and I'm not a fan of that at all. And I don't know if I want to give other certain books a chance, like Divergent and stuff like that. Like, I'm kind of hesitant, and I take my time to get to know or get to decide if I want to read a book. Now, Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, I did hear about from BookTube, but it was only from 1 or 2 people, it wasn't like every single person was obsessed with it. And I bought the book because it looked like it would be a creepy book. And a lot of people were giving it crap because it wasn't a creepy book, but that's on them for judging the book by the cover. So like I did the same thing. I judged the book by the cover. I thought it was going to be creepy. It looks like it's going to be creepy, but it wasn't. And it was still amazing. It just, if you go in there thinking it's going to be creepy, you're going to be disappointed. So I know that Miss Peregrine's now one of my favorite series of all time, and I know that certain booktubers like Jesse the Reader, it's his favorite series, and there's other authors who really enjoy it, but I always, like I said, I always give books a grain of salt, and I decide for myself if I'm going to like them or not. But I've noticed the more fangirl-y books haven't always, it's like probably a 60-40 chance I'm not gonna like it, but I don't really have any statistics to prove that. I just pulled the number out of my ass. But hopefully I can jump in on some of the bandwagons. I did buy Crooked Kingdoms because of them, because of BookTube, so hopefully I do enjoy that one. But yeah, so before I got distracted, let me know down below what your favorite book is that most people don't like, or what you don't like and most people do like. Leave it down below. Give me a thumbs up if you like it. I love to comment with you down below if you choose to talk, and subscribe. I am almost to 100 subscribers. Yay! So I will talk to you later. This is the Dragon Queen signing off.